Okay, welcome to the build guide for K-Spectre Summoner for 3.12 Heist League. This build guide video is for the Spectres and Spiders build option. Spectres and Spiders is an endgame build that combines quick and aggressive spiders, hard-hitting spectres, and a special game mechanic to provide fast mapping, good boss killing power, and great survivability. The build focuses on scaling the damage of cold conversion melee spectres. The recommended spectre is the Snorlax, but the build will also work with Krabbies or Redemption Knights without any changes. After the showcase, I will go over the key mechanics of the build, how to play the build, the passives, Ascendancy and Pantheon, and the gear including gems and links. The Spectres and Spiders build uses the following mechanics. Araka's Fang is used to summon spiders that have high movement speed, are extremely aggressive, and will attack everything on screen and off screen. They hit with physical and chaos damage, and most importantly, will proc poison. Speaker's Wreath is used to block your spectres and spiders from killing monsters with hits, because they don't have fire damage and cannot ignite. This means all monsters can only die from spider's poison. In PoE, when a monster dies from your spider's poison, it will count as a player kill, and this will allow you to benefit from any on-kill effects such as life and ES recovery from cluster jaws and a flask, and even respawn spiders. The build uses Blade Vortex with the trigger craft and added fire or lightning damage. This will proc EE on any nearby monsters without needing to stop moving. A Watcher's Eye is used to get permanent phasing. This is a big survivability boost because you will be able to run through all monsters without needing a quartz flask. To spawn spiders, let your specters hit the nearest pack of monsters. They will reduce the monster's life to 0, but they won't be able to kill them because of Speaker's Breath. Then just stand close to the monsters and kill them. The poison kill mechanic will allow you to sustain the spider respawn, but it's important to run with the spiders because the self-sustain only works when your necro is nearby some corpses. If the spiders despawn completely, don't panic because the specters will keep you safe. Just repeat the first step like you are starting the map. The Snow Rex has the highest DPS of all code conversion specters. It's an Atlas influence spectre, so to get it, you need Redeemer influence like this. And your next map must be a blue square. Enter the map and kill monsters until you find the Snow Rex, then raise the spectre. You can also use the Krabby, but its water fountain ability can completely block your view. For more details on raising special specters and saving them in the spectre bank, please click on the link above. Here are the passive trees for the specters and spiders build. The build requires cluster jewels to work, so there is no version without them. For the single cluster set, build here on the left side of the passive tree. The large cluster should be an 8 passive large cold damage jewel, with Vengeful Commander, Cold Blooded Killer, and any third notable. You only need 5 passive points to get to both sockets on the large jewel, and completely ignore the notable in the middle. Then use 2 medium jewels with Fast Among Equals and Vengeful Commander. For the small jewels, I recommend 1 Enduring Composure to generate endurance charges, and 1 Brush with Death for life recovery. For double clusters, build the second set on the top of the tree. Use the same large and medium jewels as the first set. Then I recommend using 2 jewels with Surging Vitality. The effect stacks, so you will regen 20% life every 5 seconds. There are 2 jewel sockets that you can use for Ghastly Eye jewels. I recommend at least 1 jewel with Minion Blind. Socket anatomical knowledge here. And put a haste phasing Watcher's Eye here. The ascendancies are the same as the base build. Commander of Darkness, Unnatural Strength, and Mistress of Sacrifice. For the Pantheon, I like to use Lunaris and Shakari. But all of them are useful, so I recommend changing them depending on the map mods. The Spectres and Spiders build requires several uniques. It also requires a lot of decks. After that, make sure your elemental res is 75% and get as much chaos res as possible. Then you can look for item-specific mods. The body armor should have the special mod +1 Spectre number, and it needs an open prefix to craft increase maximum life. You can also use an Hunter Exalted Orb to try to get increased offering effect. The gems are Ray Spectre, Predator, Minion damage, Elemental damage with attacks, melee physical damage, and melee splash. and I recommend swapping to Multi-Strike for endgame bosses. Spectres and Spiders uses two weapons. One is Arakaris Fang, and the other is a minion damage scepter. In Arakaris Fang, the gems are melee physical damage, melee splash, and minion speed. In the scepter, the gems are Desecrate, Blade Vortex, and Bone Offering. The scepter must have added fire or lightning to spells to proc EE with Blade Vortex. The craft is Trigger a Socketed Spell. And if you can multi-craft, add minion attack and cast speed. Against endgame bosses, it's much easier to boost the damage of the specters than to worry about spawning or maintaining spiders. You can do this with a weapon swap. In your weapon swap, use a wand or scepter with Desecrate and Flesh Offering, and a Victorious Charity Shield with Holy Flame Totem, Multi-Totems, and Culling Strike. Flesh Offering will give an attack speed boost, and Holy Flame Totem will proc EE as well as generate frenzy charges from Vic's Charity. For the gloves, use Grip of the Council. For the gems, link Cast when damage taken to Immortal Call. Then Convocation and Flame Dash must be unlinked. You want Cast when damage taken to trigger at about 30% of your life pool, and Immortal Call should match. For example, cast when damage taken level 15 with Immortal Call level 16. For the helmet, use Speaker's Wreath. The 3 linked gems are Hatred, Generosity, and Enlighten 3 or 4. And unlinked Vow Haste. Haste must be unlinked to enable phasing from the Watcher's Eye. For the boots, you need Elder Influence boots with +1 Spectre gem level. For the craft, I recommend Cannot Be Frozen. The gems are Carrier Golem, Feeding Frenzy, Elemental Army, and Animate Guardian. You will need a Hunter Influence amulet with +1 to all int gems. Anoint your amulet with Death Attunement using clear, crimson, and silver oils. For the rings, 1 Vermilion ring and 1 Unset ring. Socket Armor Brand in the Unset ring. One of your rings must have Frostbite curse on it. And I highly recommend crafting damage taken is gained as mana because it will let you play no region maps. For the belt, use a Stygian Vice to socket another Ghastly Eye Jewel. I recommend the following flasks: Bubbling Life Flask of Staunching for instant life recovery and bleed removal. Cinder Swallow Urn for life, ES, and mana recovery. Quicksilver Flask of Adrenaline for a big speed boost. Rumi's Concoction for extra block chance. Jade Flask of Heat to decrease monsters' hit chance and remove freeze. But if you can craft Cannot Be Frozen on your boots, use Avoiding for curse removal. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this build guide video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, bye!